What is the most important thing ever written by a Frenchman? Not that. Not that. Not even close. I'm talking about the masterpiece that is Democracy in America by Alexis de Tocqueville. My name is Grant, welcome to GH Books, and this is a book review. Alexis de Tocqueville was a French philosopher and politician, and in the 1830s he was sent by his government to the United States to tour American prisons and see how France could improve their own prison system. He certainly comments on American prisons, but he did a lot more than that. He would end up giving a comprehensive description of American society, its history, and its culture. De Tocqueville spends a lot of time talking about the difference between Americans and Europeans in a wide range of fields. He talks about how Americans never seek the assistance of government in anything they do. Even when hunting down criminals, citizens would usually band together and form a committee for hunting down a criminal, a thief, or a murderer, rather than involve the government in trying to round up some sort of police. Or when engaging in charitable efforts, they never seek the government's assistance because they end up doing a lot more than the government could have done on its own. It's not just in their relation to their governments that Americans and Europeans are different, according to de Tocqueville. It's also in their reactions and their relationship with science and discovery. He talks about how Europeans are always looking for the origins of things, which de Tocqueville refers to as theoretical science, while the Americans are always looking into things like technology and neat little gadgets, which he refers to as practical science. De Tocqueville talks about how Americans only use theoretical science if it can in some way improve practical science. And if there's no use for it, Americans don't bother with it. He also talks about how when Europeans use practical science, it's to do less physical labor, not to actually increase output. So when a European gets a hold of some machine that can create more of a thing, he doesn't use that to make more things. He makes the same amount of things and just does less work. He also talks about the differences he notices between Northerners and Southerners in the United States. He refers to Southerners, both whites and blacks, as being lazy. The whites have become lazy because the black slaves are doing all the work for them. And black slaves become lazy because they have no ability to benefit from their own labor, and so they have no incentives to do more than what is absolutely necessary. And so slavery, in de Tocqueville's mind, is detrimental to both the master and the slave, because overall everyone is less off than they could be if everyone was free. And something that's actually, well, it's actually very true, is that the North at this time produced far more in terms of crops, especially grain, than the South did, and the North didn't have slave labor. De Tocqueville believed that Americans would never be able to develop high art because Americans would never have the kind of nobility or wealth that allows people to just lay around all day and do just creative things. Now, of course, I am certain there are plenty of American artists who would disagree with de Tocqueville, and I would have to disagree with him on that particular point as well. Ultimately, de Tocqueville believed that America was great because her people were good, and that America would cease to be great when her people ceased to be good. And he predicted that this might happen if Americans become more like Europeans, which he hoped would never happen. Almost 200 years later, and much of what de Tocqueville says still holds up today, especially in the differences between Americans and Europeans. Will his predictions come true? That is up for people today to decide. Thanks for watching, have a great day, and keep reading.